Hey guys, what's going on? We are going to talk about phone addiction. Hang on a second, let me just send a text. Okay, it's done. Okay, sounds good. Hang on. I promise. I'll be right back, okay? Just wait. Okay, now it is done. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Meshi with Path to Wellness with Meshi. How are you doing today? Thank you so much for joining me for another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to limit social media use with your iPhone. So if you do have an iPhone and you're finding that you're continuously on it, especially right now with the new apps that kind of shows you, like actual screen time at the starting screen, and like right at the bottom when it gives you some screen time analytics, and you wanted to figure out how you can limit your screen time with your iPhone, then just stay tuned and let's get right into it. But first of all, before we dive any further, anyway, before we go any further, let's talk a little bit about why that's really important. Like why are we all of a sudden talking about, why is everybody, it seems they're talking about, phone addiction, social media addiction, and they're really having a tough time with this. And if you're looking at recent studies, you will find that it has been shown that we're really addicted to our phones and it's impacting our lives more than you would know. You would find that it affects your attention span, it affects your relationships, how you relate to people, how well you can focus, your sleep, your overall mental health. You might find that you're more anxious, you're highly agitated, and really just not only your attention span, but your patience is also like next to nothing. So if you struggle with any of those symptoms, then you might want to kind of take a look at your relationship that you have with your phone, specifically your iPhone, and how we can sort of create like better boundaries with how we use this as a tool rather than something that really ruins our lives. I do believe that having a phone and using your iPhone for many different things, obviously as I run a business, I use my phone continuously and it becomes one of the most valuable tools for me to be able to connect with you guys, obviously, and for me to conduct a lot of my business now. But I do believe that the tool, sometimes people talk about this, that, that is the tool's fault, it's the phone's fault, it's social media's fault. And really, I think that what ended up happening is that that's not what's at fault here. I think that we need to adapt to learn how to create better boundaries and a better relationship with the tools that we have so that we're still in control and we're still in charge. So this is what I wanted to give you a few tangible tips, and I will show you an app that will help you tremendously in how you can actually manage that. So I wanted to talk to you first and foremost, if you are brand new to even understanding social media addiction and phone addiction in general, then I wanted to offer you first a book that I think will not only bring some insight, it will bring you some recent studies that have been conducted, and I will just pop a little intake here so that you can take a look on the screen, but the book is called How to Break Up with Your Phone. I believe that the author is Catherine Price. It's a must read. You will probably finish the book in like maybe 2 or 3 days. It's a relatively short book, but it's filled with tangible insight. It also goes through a full detox program. And whether I'm looking at managing your social media apps or I'm looking at managing your phone, like on your iPhone, or just screen time in general, I would start with a book like that, because then that will actually bring you, I find that like when you talk to people about social media addiction and about phone addiction in general, the people kind of shrug it off like it's not a big deal, and it's not. Sometimes I find that like people understand that they have that problem, but I don't think that they look at it like it's something that they feel the need to do something about. And I think that's sort of where we're making one of our biggest mistakes, because the thing is that until you recognize that it's impacting your health in a negative way, then you're not going to be receptive in making changes. So I can give you all the book and the app recommendations, but I think that the number one thing that you need to do is really just understand that it's impacting your health in more than one ways. So that's number one. And I think that having a book like How to Break Up with Your Phone will really give you some insights and really break down step by step of in how many different areas it's impacting your health. Because once you have awareness, it's kind of, you can't like unknow it, basically. So number two, I wanted to give you one app recommendation that I have just recently added to my phone, even though I don't feel that I do have a phone addiction and I don't have a social media addiction. Like, you will not, basically, let me just put it to you this way. You will not find me in like 5 to 10 different Facebook groups having in-depth conversations about, or arguments with people about like nothing. Because I don't know, like, I think it's just, I didn't really look at that as an outlet, but a lot of people have that struggle, and I wanted to kind of meet you where you're at. So one of the best ways that you can really, one of the best apps that I have found thus far, it's the app is called Moment. If you haven't heard of it, it's wonderful. It starts tracking. I will just put like a screenshot here so you can kind of take a look at inside the app. It is free to download. It will cost you $10.50 a month if you keep a subscription up. And basically what it does is not only tracks your screen time, you will also have access to different courses that you can take. You can take that as a family. You can take that just on your own. I find that it's helpful, like especially if you wanted to help family members, if you wanted to help children. So it goes a lot more in depth of like your specific problem when it comes to phone and social media addiction. And I think that the more, so like I may not have a problem with social media and I may not have a problem with phone addiction, but like my children do. So then I need to be more educated so that I can help them. Does that make sense? So I would start with Moment. I would start with the book. And then the last thing that I wanted to show that I think will be really helpful and tangible for you to apply pretty much right away is use your phone and use the timer on your phone. So it depends on, like, I think that you need to have a level of awareness of how you use your phone. And I don't think that the idea is really for you to just get rid of your phone, because we're using it for so many different ways. Like whether you're connecting with family members or you're using that as a camera, or you are using it as a tracking device, like whatever it is, whatever specific job you're using your phone for, I don't think that the idea is that you get rid of the phone. I think that if you're using your timer, your reminders, and the delete button, those are going to be like your best friends, especially when it comes to your iPhone. Delete your social media apps, and if you really want to get back in, you can reinstall them. So that will, but if you remove the temptation, you're not going to want to really get back in. So yes, you can download tracking apps, and you can download apps that will sort of block you from like having to log in. But honestly, it's sort of like when you have candy in the house and you buy 10 extra locks for the cupboard instead of just getting rid of the damn thing. Trust me, if you don't have it, you will probably not think about it. And unless you're using it for business, then you'll probably not even think about using it. Or you will just go through a different route for using it. You know what I mean? So I would use the delete button to just get rid of the social media apps. I would not delete your profile, but I would delete the apps right from your phone. The timer is something where, like, if you have a specific time set aside each day when you are using social media, whether that's to, you're checking your email, or you're getting back to people, or, you're checking your Facebook feed or your Instagram feed, or like whatever it is, set a specific time. So have it scheduled in your calendar, but then also set a timer. Usually I like to use my watch for that, where I set a timer on my watch. And then that way I give it like 15 minutes. So when that 15 minutes is up, I walk away. That's the allotted time, and timers are excellent for that because they're specific enough, and you know that you can go full on out. You're not going to get into deep conversations within 15 minutes, but then you can kind of do the work that you need to do, and then you won't feel like your entire day has run away from you because you started scrolling. So the scrolling happens because it's a form of distraction, and it's really like, these would be like some of the basic tools that I would recommend when it comes to getting started with just managing how you really relate to your phone, and how much attention and energy you're going to be giving your phone and your social media apps. So I've seen people, when they get really frustrated or they find that, like social media brings them down, then they completely delete the app, and then they also delete their profile. I don't think you need to do that. I really don't. I don't think that social media is at fault. I think that you need to learn how you can sort of manage your feed, which we will be talking about that. If you guys are interested, we can go deeper into how you can sort of manage your social media feed so that it's not filled with negativity, so that you are kind of adding extra filters so that you actually just control exactly what the content that you are consuming. Because I don't think that all content is bad. The moment that we get into absolutes, you already know that it's not accurate. So I think that the idea is for you to learn how to create proper boundaries around each of those social media apps so that you have an idea of what content you're consuming. You set specific times so that you are only consuming it at specific times for a specific amount of time, and then that way you don't feel like you get sucked into a deep hole and then your entire day runs away from you. So I think it's very much about being intentional about how much time you're giving it, how much attention you're willing to give it, and then after that you sort of take that control back. I think this is more about just control than anything else. But let me know in the comments if you guys are struggling with this and what was the number one tip that has helped you. Right now I'm absolutely loving Moment, the app that I have put on there. I have read the book How to Break Up With Your Phone. I love it, highly recommend it to pretty much everybody, because the moment that you bring up social media addiction and phone addiction and how all of that relates back to your mental health, people relate, but then there's sort of a gap. They're like, well, okay, but then what do I do? So I wanted to offer this quick video. I hope that you find this helpful. Let me know in the comments if you do, because there's going to be more on this mental health series that I'm creating for you guys, just so that it gives you some more tools and tangible advice that you can actually apply pretty much right away effortlessly. So that's the whole idea behind it. I did not want to bombard you with like 20 different tips, because really I wanted to give you like specific ones that you can use right away. If you are new here, well, welcome. Thank you so much for spending the time and for sharing your time and your space with me. I'm so grateful that you are here. You will find about 2 to 3 videos here that I post every single week, and we talk about intentional living, we talk about spiritual practices, and we talk about how to live a more mindful, more intentional life. So if you're kind of curious of what's going to be coming up when, I usually release a recap email every single Monday where I kind of break down some of the best takeaways from each of my videos. If you wanted to sign up, I left the link down in the description. I also left links in the show notes of the apps that I mentioned earlier and the books that I mentioned, so that way you can check that out and see if it works for you. Let me know in the comments if you do struggle with it and what was the number one thing that has helped you. I would love to know. And in the meanwhile, keep shining, you guys, because you're just so much more powerful than you think. And I will see you again in my next video.